Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Transplant Strong Podcast. Today I'm joined by an absolute legend. Hi Georgia, how are you?
Hi, yeah, good, thank you.
You and I met up for the first time at the recent Transplant Games, didn't we?
Yeah, back in Dresden.
Yeah, Dresden, what a great experience. And for people watching, Georgia is different to any guest that I've had on so far. She is not a transplant recipient, but a organ donor. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, a kidney donor, right?
Yep, just over 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So take me through the thought process of why you wanted to become a kidney donor.
So I've always known about transplant probably since I was a kid because my cousin had two liver transplants when we were younger. So I was probably 7 or 8 when he had his first transplant. So I mean, you don't remember much beyond that, do you? So I've always known about transplant even when I was a kid. And then I think it just got me thinking. Sadly, he passed away in 2020, but he had 20 extra years from his transplants.
Hmm.
And if another transplant would have been what he needed to save his life, then we would have all wanted him to have it. So I spent years sort of promoting organ donation and banging on about it. But realistically, most of us are not going to die in a way where we can donate our organs. So this was kind of a way of making sure that I like put my money where my mouth is, basically, and made sure that at least one of my organs was going to go and help somebody else.
Yeah, that's crazy. So like say you were brought up kind of around transplants and you heard these stories and you saw how it actually gave life, which is so important. So what's the process of becoming a kidney donor?
So first you get in touch with the nearest centre to you, basically, that does transplants. So for me, it was actually the Freeman in Newcastle, which is where I work. So my first meeting was actually with one of my friends, which was really weird. And she was kind of like, "Don't do it. You don't need to do this." Which, to be fair, is kind of the process you get throughout. They they do have to discourage you as much as they can to make sure you're committed to it and that you really, really want to do it. They can't encourage you. They can't be like, right, your next appointment's at this time, make sure you like turn up. It's you kind of chase from one stage of the process to the next. So I went and spoke to her, did like a basic questionnaire that like would bring up any obvious things that would rule you out straight away. Then I actually got seen in a different centre. You have sort of blood tests and things like that. They go through your family history because if you had any big family history of kidney disease, that would rule you out because it would mean you were more likely to have kidney disease and have problems later on. They do take a lot of blood. It's kind of the same amount of blood as they take from you guys for transplant,
Yeah.
bloody bottles of the stuff. Then you have x-rays, you have tests to see how much function you actually have of your kidneys. They check whether your kidneys work 50-50, because if you had one that was stronger than the other, generally they would give you a weaker kidney away. Sometimes people have got extra veins and extra arteries attached that would make surgery more complicated as well. So generally you give the left kidney, but some people end up giving others because there's a problem with the left one, or it's a simpler surgery to do the right. They, what else do they check? I feel like they check everything.
They must do like your sort of like you say your mental health, because that was one thing that I remember when I was having a transplant is they sit you down and they basically find out whether you're ready to go through the process.
Yeah, they do. So, not all kidney donors see a psychologist, but all altruistic donors who don't know their recipient have to see a psychologist. Most of the others do as well. I saw them twice because I went through two different centres. One of them literally did start the conversation with like, "So tell me about your childhood," and I was like, "Is this a film? Like, this is not how like psychology is meant to work." It was very weird. So they talked about like coping mechanisms and things. It was like, how would you cope if like it went wrong? How would you cope if you found out, years down the line didn't work? Or and they said to me like, how are you going to cope not being able to run for 12 weeks? Like
Yeah.
that's something you like to do. How are you going to be able to cope with not being able to like do that? And then much as they do with like recipients, sort of like your social like setup, who's going to look after you, all that shenanigans.
Yeah.
And then you have to sit with the Human Tissue Authority, and that's like the legal side of it. So they're like an independent person. So my one was actually, I think she was some kind of lawyer. some of them are like doctors, but a lot of them are people who aren't medical at all. And you
Yeah.
have to be able to tell them what the risks are, like the percentage risk and things like that, so that they can check that you've listened. You haven't just sat there going la 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 la, or they've like told you the risks. And they ask you to check that you're not being coerced in any way. People who know their recipient go through the HTA as well. People who are married, for example, have to like bring their marriage certificate. They have to show photos to like demonstrate that they are still married. Or if it's your friend, you have to have proof that you've known each other for X amount of years and stuff like that. But for me, it's more simple, I think, for altruistic, because it's just right. No one's making you do this,
Yeah. So
basically.
how long do you think the process is from when you first sort of sat down with someone to when you're on the operating table?
For me, it was probably, I mean, it was probably a couple of years, but only
Really?
because I went through two centres.
Yeah.
So I ended up donating at Guy's, and it was, I think I went for my first appointment, maybe the September, and donated in the July, something like that. And I actually delayed it a little bit because I was doing Rome Marathon in the March. So I didn't go into the January matching run to find a recipient because I knew I would turn down an operation if it was when Rome Marathon was. And they don't let you go if you're not going to accept any date, they say don't go in it, go in the next one. So
Yeah.
I went in the April run instead.
Yeah, because that was going to be my next question. Because obviously, as a transplant patient, when you're waiting for a transplant, you're kind of on call all the time. So for you, as I suppose you just kind of explained that you kind of put yourself forward to be like, I'm available this month if anything comes up. Is that right?
So it's to do with the sharing scheme. So in the UK, if you need a kidney transplant and you have a potential donor, but your donor isn't a match for you, there's a scheme you can go in where they basically look at all the people who are on the list with a potential donor, all the donors who want to donate to either someone they don't know or someone they do know, and wiggle it all up, do some EBGB computer stuff until they find like matches.
Yeah.
So from the day of my transplant, there will have been two people in that pool who knew their donors, well, who knew who was donating for them, and an extra person who didn't have their own donor. And then there would have been three donors, so me, and then two people who did know who their recipient like would have been.
Yeah.
So it runs 4 times a year. So they set this matching scheme. I think it is literally a big computer that does it.
Yeah. Like speed
And
speed
they,
dating.
yeah, so they like submit all the patient information 4 times a year into that. And then the idea is that if you get a match, say in the April run, that all the operations will be done by the time the July run runs. So they try and get them all done in like the next 3 months.
Yeah. And I spoke to somebody who had a living donor from, I think it was America or Canada, and they met up with their donor before because they said it was like quite common to meet up and you just kind of make sure you gel and that you actually want to donate to this person. So I don't think that happens here, right?
No, no. It's like totally anonymous here. It's
Yeah.
there's different types of altruistic donation here. So there's directed altruistic donation. So say I saw like a person on Facebook that's like, I really need a kidney, and I asked to be matched specifically for them. Like I don't know them,
Mm.
but I've asked that to be where my kidney goes. In that case, sometimes you would have some contact beforehand. But for proper altruistic, you don't know who it is, you don't know who it is afterwards. We can get recipient information the same way as a recipient can get donor information. So just a gender and an age,
Hmm.
basically. I don't think I actually got given mine. I think I just found out when I got a letter. Um,
That was my next question was,
yeah,
because obviously I can write to my donors I have. So is that an option for
yeah,
you guys?
yeah.
Yeah.
Works in exactly the same way. I I kind of didn't think I'd necessarily get a letter from my recipient because I know that they had a relative who donated for them. So I think it would be quite logical in their head almost that their relative is their donor, even though
Yeah.
it's not technically their kidney. They got the kidney because of them. So I was quite prepared to never hear and like not hear. And I think if you go into it as an altruistic donor, that's you do have to be okay with not hearing. I think a lot of people think they're okay with not hearing, and then they're like, oh, actually, like why haven't I heard? Are they not grateful? And actually that's not the point of it. The point of being altruistic is that it's altruistic that you're getting nothing back.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just a perk if you hear.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the most selfless acts that you could do on earth, really. I mean, because you know the risks. They tell you the risks. You're at risk as much as the person that's having, like, taken the organ when you're in that operating table, right?
Yeah, so I think the risk they quote to you for the surgery is about the same as having your appendix out.
Okay.
Um, they it's something like, I think one donor has died in the last 10 years. The first centre I got assessed quite heavily hammered that into me. They were like, it was someone who was young like you, it wasn't an old donor, like, and I'm like, right, okay, yeah, but
Yeah.
one isn't a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I could go and get hit by a bus now. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I was being blasé about the risk. It was just more like, right, okay, well, again, I could end up with appendicitis and have to have my appendix out. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
say, no, don't do it, because there's like I think it's like 1 in 3,000, something like that.
Yeah.
It's quite
So,
small.
yeah, it's a very small, but I mean, it's still a risk. And then, like you say, it's the putting your life on hold afterwards. And then because you've only got one kidney now, obviously you're sort of more prone to kidney disease, I suppose. And maybe illnesses, like just because your body's not working at full pace.
So in theory, as long as we live like a healthy life post donation, we should have normal life expectancy. Your risk of kidney disease is one of the things they work out for you before you do it. So I don't know if they sat down with you before your transplant, but there's like a great big, again, another sort of computer system where they can work out your risk specifically. And I remember them working out my risk of kidney disease with one kidney compared to my risk of kidney disease with two, and my risk of kidney disease in my lifetime with one kidney is still lower than the national average risk of kidney disease. So for me, I was like, well, that's a no-brainer then. Like,
Sold, yeah.
you know, I haven't even got a normal risk of kidney disease. I'm still less than that. And they do the same for other complications, like if I was to have a baby, the risk of preeclampsia and things like that. And they literally give you percentages that are specific to you.
Yeah.
So they do go through it, and they do go through it in detail, and they do tell you at like every appointment, like, this is the risk, this could
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Well, like you say, they have to really sort of
Yeah.
tell you everything. I mean, the doctors are very much like that anyway. Even for the transplant patient, you're told the worst case scenario for everything, which is their job really. And sometimes it sounds quite bleak, but that's what they have to do.
It's the only time a surgeon's going to put a patient on the table that isn't going to benefit from what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think some surgeons are more against that than others. Like, where I first got assessed, I could just tell that he didn't really like doing live donors at all.
Yeah.
And especially didn't like young donors. And I think, like, fine, fair enough. It is a risk that surgeon is having to take.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. But yeah, it is the only time they're going to operate on a person who's getting no benefit from that. They're
Yeah.
putting a healthy person at risk, aren't they, basically?
Yeah. So your dedication to the transplant world goes sort of deeper than just being a donor. I mean, just being a donor, like it's nothing. But you're a nurse, right, for transplant patients?
Yeah, so I work on the transplant unit at the Freeman, which is actually the only transplant unit in Europe where all solid organ transplants are looked after on the same ward. So in most centres, they might have kidneys and livers on the same ward, or they might have hearts and lungs on the same ward, but generally those two, sort of heart and lung, kidney, and that, get separated. On our unit, which has been open now, I want to get this right, I think it's nearly 15 years. I think it'll be nearly 15 years next year. We have all of those patients. So post-transplant, obviously livers, hearts and lung patients go to intensive care for a bit after their surgery, whereas the kidney patients generally come straight back. But they still will come to us post-transplant, and we look after them until they go home. So we look after all of those, and then patients with LVADs as well. So we do have a few people that are waiting for transplant, majority afterwards, but for all of the organs.
So you've given away a kidney, you care for transplant patients, and you work for Live Life, Give Life. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a
Can you?
trustee for them.
Yeah. So explain what that is for us, please.
So Live Life is a UK-based charity that aims to promote organ donation, raise awareness of organ donation, and then we fund transplant-related research as well. But the focus we have, especially in the last couple of years, is on getting education about organ donation into schools and young people, because we all know that if you get kids thinking it's normal, they're going to grow up to think it's normal. Their kids are going to grow up to think it's normal, and you'll change the whole culture of the country to just think that organ donation is something you do, and everyone thinks it's a normal thing to talk about, and then therefore your consent rate's going to be better.
Yeah, yeah. I think the dynamics change slightly because I think as a country, we're more of an atheist country now than, say, religious. And I know for a fact that religion is sort of an imposing factor on why people don't become organ donors, because the afterlife or whatever they believe in for after, so they don't want to get rid of their organs. But I think maybe because we're, like I say, not as religious, maybe more people are taking it up as well.
Yeah, I think hopefully, I think as a country, we're getting a bit less squeamish about talking about death.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming more common. We were talking about it at work the other day. We were saying a lot more people are having these funerals now where like it's not a big like thing. Like you just get your cremation done and your family go out for dinner. There's not like a big service, and like the thought in the past of like everyone not being there when you were cremated would be like, oh my goodness, how could we possibly do that? And now actually these little cremations where they just do it and then you have your celebration somewhere else, that's becoming like an okay thing to do now. It doesn't have to be a huge funeral with loads of people attending. It doesn't have to be like that anymore. So I think we are, I don't know, maybe getting a bit less superstitious about death, a bit more flexible. Like it doesn't have to be a great big ceremony.
Yeah.
It, you can do it kind of how you want to do it. And I think if we're not scared about talking about death, because some people just think, well, if you start talking about dying, then something will happen, which obviously is rubbish. Like we all know that's absolutely rubbish. You can't tempt fate like that. It's not a thing. It's not real. Um, that'll help. And in the UK, all major religions do support organ donation, but you will get in smaller communities where they'll say, well, I don't know, that's not how I would interpret my religion. I think it's harder in religions where there's not one big head person.
Yeah.
So, say for Catholicism, the Pope says something's fine, then all Catholics will go, well, the Pope says it's fine, so cool, we'll do it.
Yeah.
But in, say, like Islam, you've got multiple imams who all might be saying slightly different things, and I think that brings in a bit of confusion. And it's really important in those kind of religions as well that the sort of instruction that organ donation is okay has to come from within that community. There's no point in me saying, yeah, you can do it, it's fine. Well, why would they listen to me? I'm not the same as them. And I think it is, you have to, in the same as, getting people involved in sport, you've got to see it to believe it, all that kind of stuff. You've got to see someone who's like you being like, actually, this is fine. So it's not a problem that can just be fixed overnight by us going, yeah, religions do actually accept it.
Yeah.
Because we're not part of that.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned religions, but I know for a fact there are people that are non-religious, but they were afraid to sign up because they just have been told, or they thought that if ever they got ill, then the doctors wouldn't try and save them, which to me just seems bonkers. Why you think that? Because I can't, I can't ever imagine a doctor being like, I would just let this one slide, like, because their job is to keep people alive. And I've seen it firsthand for a fact. They literally do everything they can to make sure someone lives, before they're like, well, this is a lost cause. So yeah, there are some sort of myths around transplant. And again, I suppose this is why you share as much as you do, and why it's important to promote transplants and just talk about it and let people know that, some of the things that they believe aren't quite true.
Yeah, I always say doctors are fiercely competitive and really stubborn. Like that they're not going to let their patient die to save another doctor's patient. Like that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Even if they knew that there was another patient that would be a good match, which they don't in that situation, they have no idea who's on the list at all. Um, they just wouldn't. they're competitive people.
Yeah, that's a very good point as well, because like you say, that there's a separation between if you're if you're a doctor on a certain ward, you're not involved in transplants whatsoever. So you don't know
Not at all.
the list, you don't know who's waiting, you don't know the
Hmm.
criteria of these people. So you can't match up, you can't look at someone's chart and be like, oh, he's a, whatever blood type, and John over here needs his organs, because
Yeah,
there isn't that matchup, is there? Because they've
no,
literally focused on what they're doing.
it's completely separate. They've got no idea who needs an organ, whether their patient. I mean, they're not even going to be thinking about whether their patient's going to be a good donor at all, let alone whether they're going to match somebody on the list. And
Yeah,
that's why it's so separate. There's no like ethical issue there because they don't know. Like there would be if you had them looking after all the same patients. Of course, that would bring up a moral question, wouldn't it? Because they'd think, oh, this patient might not survive, but such and such could have his heart.
yeah,
But that's why we don't. That's why it's separate, because then you don't have that moral dilemma at all. They don't know anything about it. Like generally speaking, your donors are going to come from intensive care 9 times out of 10 in a hospital with an A&E. 9 times out of 10, your transplant centers are not even in a hospital with an A&E.
yeah.
So most of the time, they're not even going to be in the same building, let alone like they won't be the same area. It's not going to be the same doctors. It's so separate that could never happen.
Yeah, yeah. So just to sort of finish everything off, like, can you explain what your quality of life is like now? I mean, I mentioned that we met at the Transplant Games, and you're a very keen runner, and
Mm.
not just keen, but fast. And you've won loads of medals, and you are, you're out active. So, go from, say, how long did it take to recover, and then, what are you up to now?
I was very sensible recovering and listened to a lovely physio from our live donor group who was like, don't run at 6 weeks when I say, oh, it might be okay. So I didn't run. I think I lasted 10.5 weeks
Yeah.
before I ran at all. But I was going to the gym in that time. I was trying to like build up my strength. And then actually I got back into running really quickly. I had 12 weeks off work. I do always kind of joke about people like, oh, if you do it, go in the summer run, have 12 weeks across the summer off work. It's one way to get 12 weeks off. And then went straight back into work. So I wouldn't say my quality of life has changed at all. I think I got my 10K PB 6 months after donating. So it really
Yeah.
wasn't that long a turnaround to get back into running and like running at the same kind of like speed as I was beforehand. I did get myself very, very fit before donating. Um, I've still got a couple of post donation PBs to beat, but most of them I'd say I'm there. Um, I think my life's exactly the same. Like the only thing that's different is that I can go to the Transplant Games and compete at the Transplant Games.
Yeah, and do you know what? That whole experience just made me so pleased that I had a transplant, like, because it's so hard to explain to people what the transplant games is like, and people just sort of think sports, competitive, and especially people that are like, oh, I would like to do it, but I'm just not very fast, or I'm just not, I'm not fit. But like, you don't really need to be up there. It's more about just the whole experience, isn't it? Like the opening ceremony. I mean, how emotional is all of that, and the closing
Yeah.
ceremony, and
It's just an amazing community. I was doing a talk on Friday at work to people about what the Transplant Games is and why we should be encouraging patients to do it and to try it. And it's the community, isn't it? Like
yeah,
you can't fail to be inspired by that, and like you don't have to be amazing. Like frankly, I'm never going to win gold in a normal race. So it like if some really fit donors turn up, I won't win anything. So you really don't have to be that great to like give it a go. And then especially on the recipient side, when it's broken down into all your age groups and stuff, everyone has like a decent shot at like trying things, and then you kind of get to know people that are in your age group as well as you go through the
yeah,
week competing, because you see the same people over and over again.
yeah,
I know that's what it was like for me at Dresden. There was kind of the same sort of 6 or 7 of us that were turning up and doing all the events. So you're like chatting, and I mean, none of like they're all from all over the world. The people that then you might stay in touch with that you never would have met in any other
yeah,
situation. I mean, for me as a donor, like I probably wouldn't know maybe one or two other donors if I hadn't have gone to the games.
Yeah.
So even from a donor point of view, it's like a big community thing, and yeah,
Yeah, because you all went out
it's
for a
great.
meal and everything, didn't you, together?
Yeah, we do our Newcastle team. Did like a team meal, which was good. And then yeah, we've got, I think, well, we're up to 3 donors now on our Newcastle team, so that's good.
Like, come on, people, we need more. We need
I
more
know.
team members.
Recruiting people.
Yeah, yeah. And just a last question: how comes you chose to be kidney, not liver?
Do you know what? In hindsight, now that I know that if you try and donate both, they like you to do your liver first.
Okay.
I kind of wish I had thought of it, but I don't know.
You
I
can't just
don't
be
know if
giving
I,
all of your stuff away. You end
well,
up
I
with
know.
nothing.
There are a few people out there who have done it.
Really?
But yeah, they like you to do your liver first. Um, but I don't know. I think people thought I was mental enough doing a kidney.
Yeah.
And at least then I feel like I could kind of go, well, it's quite low risk, it's fine. It is a much bigger surgery to have part of your liver
Yeah.
out. I mean, we're not gonna lie, donor people are weird. Like we were all waiting at the back of that march in Dresden for quite a long time. We've all seen each other's scars. Everyone had their
Yeah.
bellies out,
Yeah, that's
and
standard.
the liver donors have got some cracking scars. Like
Yeah.
theirs are huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I would have done it. I think it's more how other people thought about it. And
Yeah.
I feel like the psychological testing, especially if I was to try to do it now, would just be insane. Like I know I'm sane and wouldn't be crazy, but I feel like I don't know, trying to persuade the medical professionals that it was a normal thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, even even it's to me it seems a bit mad to be just like, just keep taking bits out of me. It's fine. I don't need these. Um, yeah. So so I got one more question now. So how did your parents feel about you signing up to this?
I don't think my mum's like me and is a bit weird and medical. Like she said she would have watched my surgery.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if she could have done, she would have watched it. And like
Yeah.
I don't think it would have bothered her that it was me on the table. Like I think she
Right.
genuinely would have watched it.
Yeah.
My dad's like quiet and is kind of like, yeah, hope you'll be all right. Kind of doesn't say much. He probably would have been the more worried one.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Whereas like my mum just went at work for the day and was like, tell them not to ring me because I'll be at work without my phone. So
And how did you even tell them? Did you just go home one day and be like, "Oh, I want to be a kidney donor"?
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I literally did just go, by the way, I'm like gonna get tested to donate a kidney. Cool.
Oh, cool. It's incredible. Like it's just like the mindset of someone that does that is just it's the most selfless thing you can do. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I think we're all a bit weird though, because from speaking to other donors, we're all just like, but why wouldn't you? It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, don't need 2 kidneys, so why would I keep them both? Like, but then that's not a mentality you get if you speak to anyone that's not a donor.
Yeah, I mean, even if you said to someone, right, you've got to have a year off work, like, okay, some people would be like, "Oh, great, a year off work," but most people wouldn't want to put their life on hold for a year, to help someone that they've never met, really. I mean, that's just the fact, really.
12 weeks was a good amount of time.
Yeah. But yeah, 12 weeks, it's a long time to have off. And yeah, just I'm blown away. Like I've been really honored to meet you and spend the time in Germany with you, and it's an honor to have you on as a guest and just to continue to be your friend because you inspire me all the time, which is brilliant.
Oh, it's honestly for us as donors, I think it's an honor to come to the games and see all the recipients, like whether they're, a recipient that we could have helped or not. Like that's all anyone wants to see, really, isn't it? It's people that are
Yeah.
benefiting from transplant and out there and doing really well.
Yeah. Well, I know you have a busy day ahead. Well, you're always busy doing something. If it's not running, it's working. So I will let you get on, but it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, and we'll stay in touch, and maybe we could get you back on in the future, and we'll keep promoting organ transplant.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.